everyone, welcome to my first ever episode of Nia Natters. I'm already making mistakes and I'm not even a minute in yet. I'm literally like 10 seconds in. Anyways, so to kick things off, I think that this episode or part or whatever it is you want to call it will just be kind of a get to know me episode so that you can see who I am as a person outside of my gaming channel, assuming that you have come over from my gaming channel. If not, welcome in. My name's Nia and I also have a gaming channel, so please check that out in my bio. There's going to be a lot of pauses in this, so I do apologise. I'm still getting used to speaking like this and it will take a few times for me to get used to it. I also have some music playing in my headphones that you can't hear, but if I pause for any reason or get distracted, then it might be that, but if not, then it's just me being me. I actually got these questions from ChatGPT that I'm going to talk about. I'm going to use them to talk about myself anyway. So I've got a mixture of personal background questions, hobbies and interests, personality and values, career and aspirations, favourites and fun, deep and reflective, and fun hypotheticals to end. So I think that's a good array, and we've got 3 questions per category. So that would be a good way to start, I think. So the first question in the personal background category is, where did you grow up and how has it shaped who you are today? So I grew up in a little town not far from Cardiff in South Wales, which is the UK South Wales, not the, I want to say Australia South Wales, ? I'm not very good with geography. But I grew up there and I've spent my entire life my entire life there, apart from my 3 years in university. I think it shaped me to really appreciate like the more quiet side of life, because Cardiff is such a hustle and bustle city. I currently work there and I literally hate going in there because there's so many people. But the place I live is a bit more quiet, and I feel safe there, like I always feel safe there, but I also spent a lot of time like in a valley not that far from my town. It's still within the town, but it's just a bit further out, if that makes sense. And there I used to go on like walks as a toddler. When I was 3 years old, I would be like trekking up at the nearest mountain with my childminder, and at 3 years old I'd walk for like hours and hours. So I was a really fit kid. I was very like healthy. I had cooked dinners every day, and I think that time of my life, especially with my childminder up in the valleys, up in the countryside, really shaped me as a person in that aspect, because I still have a love of animals. You know, I used to go and help on the farm up there. I used to go and visit the little baby lambs every spring, and yeah, it just made me be able to sit and just appreciate nature. And to be honest, I'm really thankful for that part of my life. I enjoy that about myself, and I still find peace and solace in just going out into the woods for a walk. I used to be able to name every flower. I can't now because that was past me, that was child me, and now I have other things that are taking up my time. But I used to be such an outdoorsy person, and I do still enjoy those aspects for myself. So my childminder and my auntie and my parents had dogs, and that's a big part of me as well. Because I always went to my family's houses to be around animals. I used to dog sit my auntie's dog at my grandparents' house all the time, and so I have a big love for animals as well. But I think it also, the way that I grew up in a small quiet town surrounded by countryside, and animals has really turned me into quite a quiet, understanding, quite a balanced person, I would say. I'm quite good at adapting to different situations, but I think that also I do prefer the more quiet side of life. I prefer nature, I prefer being around animals. I'm really not a city life kind of girl anyway. But yeah, I hope that was enough information, I'm not sure. So question number 2 is, what's a childhood memory that stands out to you? Oh my gosh. I would say a childhood memory that stands out to me is that when we used to go out to Spain, we used to go to a market quite often there. We used to go to the same market every time we went to Spain. It was a big Sunday market, I want to say, and I remember going there, and my grandfather, who passed away 4 years ago, I went with him, and we were walking around the market, and he was like, I'm going to go get us some cherries. And I was like, great, wonderful. You're the Spanish speaker, you have level 3 certificate in Spanish, whatever that means. So he walked over and asked for these cherries, and the woman said something in Spanish, and he was like, oh yeah, okay. And this woman was like filling the bag up with cherries, and I kid you not, it was like over 1 kilogram of cherries. And I was just kind of looking at my grandfather like, you're going to tell her to stop, or are you just like waiting for something to happen? Because I'm pretty sure that when he asked her for the cherries, like he said, oh, can I have like blah blah grams of cherries? But obviously the lady didn't understand. So she was filling up these cherries, like continuing over and over again. And I was like, Gramps, you might want to tell her to stop. And he was like, oh yeah, stop. And it came to like 20 euros of cherries. And I just remember like him, he was such a placid person that he wouldn't like ask the woman to take them back. He would just accept that amount of cherries. And my nan was like so angry at him at the time, because obviously like how many cherries did we need to eat? So she made like a cherry, what was it? Is it like an apple pie, and you can have cherry pie? Then we had cherries, then we had something else with cherries, and we just like had to have cherries for days and days and days, just because my grandfather was like, you know, he wouldn't say, oh, take them back. He was very like a quiet, laid back man, and everything was okay for him, but my nan was like the complete opposite. So that is one childhood memory that stands out. Who has had the biggest influence on your life and why? Maybe my childminder, to be honest. She was always there with me for the early parts of my life. So I spent a lot of time up there, and that's where I developed like my childhood personality and probably my values today as well. So she taught me to be polite, and she always made sure that I ate really well. She made me a cooked dinner every day. She made sure that I went out in the countryside every day for a walk. She made me be kind to animals. She made me have friends and things like that. So a lot of values and a lot of things that I learnt earlier in life were all thanks to her. And she's I think this is one of the things where I'm very thankful that I have this type of personality trait, but at the same time I'm kind of like, I don't know if it is actually a good trait. And that would be I'm really nitpicky, and I'm a perfectionist about stuff. So I think this is between my dad and my childminder actually, but one of the things that I do is I'm really like, if I do something, I need to be all in, you know. So if I have an interest in something or I want to do something, I will research the hell out of that thing, and it might not even like last long of me doing it, but as soon as I start something, I will make sure that I know the ins and outs of it and that I am fully committed to it before even bothering to start it. She was like that she's very religious now. She if you asked her, she would say that she didn't find God when she first had me as a child and looked after me. So I was brought up not as a Christian, but the two children that she used to mind afterwards are very strictly Christian. So she doesn't only like believe something, she lives and breathes it. So she was, in my later years, she was like, oh, you need to buy a Bible, you need to do this, you need to get baptized, you need to get christened, you need to do everything. And I was like, oh, okay, no problem, I'll ask my parents. And I asked my parents for a Bible, I remember. My mum was like, are you sure about that? Like, that's really not you. Are you just saying that because your childminder wanted you to? And I was like, oh, no, like, I need to, this is what I want. And that never materialised. But yeah, she's really all-in type of person, and I am very much the same at the moment. Like, if you look over at my gaming channel, you can see that I'm currently playing a game called Black Myth Wukong. And I've currently got my nails done in a design inspired by Wukong. Or if you look at my Sims 4 games, you can see that the world that I'm currently building, or rebuilding should I say, is meant to be based off New Orleans. So I have researched for hours and hours and hours everything that I need to know about New Orleans, the different house types you can get, the different statuses of the family and the type of places they live in, the different areas of New Orleans, the history of it, like why it's shaped as it is. And oh my gosh, yeah, I am really an all-in type of person, but I suppose that's a good and bad thing. Obviously, not everything needs this type of commitment, but I will give it anyway. So next category is hobbies and interests. So the first question is, what hobbies or activities bring you the most joy? This would be an inside and an outside hobby. So my inside hobby would definitely be gaming, because I stream a lot, and well, I say a lot, at least 3 times a week, or I try to. And I really enjoy that because I get to meet new people, I get to find people who like my type of content and are there purposely for my content, and it's really nice and rewarding. Like recently I've been, like I said, playing Wukong, or I've been on a stream and I've like done quite badly on one of the bosses there, and it took me, no joke, about 20 or 30 attempts to get past. And some of my subs were like, oh, you know, we know you're a dedicated person and we know you'll get through it because you'll keep trying. And it's really nice to see that my personality or some of my traits are really understood and known by my subs. Like it because they egg me on is not a good term. They encourage me in that way. It really makes me feel seen in a way. So I really enjoy that. And then the other one I would say is horse riding. I've been horse riding since I was 8 years old, so that was 16 years ago. 16? I say that, right? I had a big break for like 4 or 5 years. I lie. Maybe 4 years. Yeah, 4 years. So I used to go when I was 8. And I went for a few months, but like I was really scared to trot on my own, so I used to have my grandfather run around with like holding onto the horse. And like that was technically not allowed, but I made it happen anyway. And then I stopped because I saw a girl like dismounting a horse, and she like kind of, because she was so small, she kind of fell off the horse and landed on her back and winded herself, which scared the hell out of me. And I don't know why it scared the hell out of me, because, you know, we're all going to fall off. That's just part of horse riding. Now that I'm older, I know that. But it scared the life out of me because I was like, I don't want to fall off. Hence the con of being a perfectionist, because I don't want anything bad to happen. So, and I want to do everything perfectly. So I'm in my head, I was like, I'm never going to fall off. And then lo and behold, I've had a few falls. But yeah, so I started when I was 8. I probably did it for a couple of months or a year, got scared, stopped, went back when I was about 14, and continued up until now with an on and off break over the 3 years that I was in uni. I'm currently on a pause again up until December the 20th, I want to say. I had a nasty fall a few months back, maybe August, September, October, November, maybe 3 months back, I would say, and it really knocked my confidence, and I also hurt my coccyx, so I've been holding off, and we've been doing other stuff in our lives as well, but I think that stems from my love of animals again. I always remember, going back to my childminder again, I always remember like going for a walk up the mountain and then sitting on the rock that we always sat on, and we used to watch the farmer cantering across his land on his horse, like just across the mountain that we were sat on. And then he'd come over and come and say hi. And when I was young, I always used to imagine, like, because I'm an only child, I have to imagine a lot, okay? Because my parents would drag me out shopping, but while we were out shopping, my imagination used to be that I was either riding like a specific horse, or I'd have a few horses that I'd swap over to every now and then, but then I'd always have dogs next to me and my horse, and that went through like for ages, and that's how I used to imagine myself. And I still see myself in the future as having a horse training centre where I just buy like horses that are no longer wanted, that need a place to stay until the end of their life, or a horse that has gone to auction or is going to be sold as meat if no one buys it. And I want to take them and I want to make them a useful horse, and either keep them or rent them out or find them a good home. But believe me, I will find them like a home that wants them forever, you know? So yeah, horse riding and gaming. So question 2 in this category would be, if you could learn a new skill instantly, what would it be? Ooh. I don't know if this is classed as a skill, but if it's a definitely known skill, I would like to learn a skill of, I would say, learning languages. I think that's so important these days, especially with like, you know, the amount of traveling people do, and there's so many like mixed ethnicities now all over the shop. So I think that, you know, being able to communicate with other ethnicities and nationalities is really important. And I also did an Asia Pacific degree for 3 years, majoring in Korean, but I also learned a bit of Chinese and Japanese, and trying to learn like and maintain my learning. Well, I just struggled, to be honest. I struggled in university to learn a language. Maybe it's because I'm not born to learn a language, but it's kind of pressuring because my boyfriend is also Chinese, and more importantly his parents speak Guilanese, so I really want to learn that. But in terms of like maybe a non-skill that I would like to learn, I don't know if this classes as a skill, but it would be investing or coding. I think coding is coming in hot and fast, and I have been left behind. I tried learning it and I was like, I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm barely any good doing like a Google spreadsheet, never mind coding, because I swear they use similar codes. But I tried it and I was like, I have no interest in this. The problem with me is I'm not disciplined enough to keep going at something if I don't like it, and I wear my heart on my sleeve. If I don't like you, then I would show it on my face. If I don't like something, I will cut it out of my life, something like that. So I'm really terrible for something like that, but I wish I wasn't. So it would definitely be either investing so I can get money to open up my horse training facility, or coding so I could earn money to open up my horse training facility. I'm a very simple-minded person, I have to say, doing this self-reflection type of stuff. All I want is the end goal of my life. That's all I live for, to be honest. That's all I do things for. So the third question in this category is, what's a fun fact about you that most people don't know? It's not really a fun fact, but I used to play the cello when I was in like primary school, and I only did it to I'm pretty sure I only did it because my friends were doing it or to get out of lessons, and I absolutely hated it. I never practiced at home. It was also difficult for me because my parents were separated, so I had to lug this massive cello back and forth. So I never ever practiced. I can remember practicing once at home, and then the teacher made me cry because I didn't practice, and there was a show going, so I just quit. Like I said just now, if I don't like something or I feel pressure in something that I'm not enjoying, I will just stop. I will stop it dead. Anyways, into the category of personality and values. So number one question is, question number one, should I say? What am I talking about? How would your friends describe you in 3 words? Ooh. I want to say that a few of them would call me strong-willed because, like I said just now, if I want to do something, I will. If I don't want to do something, I won't. So, for example, I brought my boyfriend over here from China. I paid for him to come over and study, and no one had a say in that at all, because once I'd chosen to do it, I was just going to do it with or without my parents' support. My dad was actually like, there's no way you're doing that. You can't just bring a random stranger over that you don't know anything about. And I was like, but I do know him because I've spoken to him for about 3 years straight without 1 day rest. I video call him every day. I say good morning to him. I say good night to him. But thankfully my mum was a bit more understanding, and she helped me, and he lived with us for a year until we moved out to our own place. But yeah, I do crazy stuff like that. And another one was Korea in 2018. We were no, it couldn't have been 2018, was it? Yeah, it was 2018, June 2018. We went to Korea for 17 days, and my dad was like, you're not going. there's no way it's too dangerous, you don't know the culture. And I was like, I do know the culture, it's not dangerous, it's one of the safest places to go. I'm going, like, I've booked the ticket, there's nothing you can say or do to stop me with going. And I had a whale of a time. That was probably my favourite holiday. Just, it was amazing. And that was like my introduction, my self-introduction to my Asia Pacific degree, which was insane. Yeah, me and my friend just like got on a plane and just went. I wish I was that spontaneous these days. Another word. I'm hoping that reliable would be one, because I'm always there when someone needs me. I'm always at the other end of the phone. I'm always a shoulder to cry on. Like, literally last night my friend needed a lift and I just went and did it. She had to ask, she asked me, and that was it. I was like, yep, no problem, I will be here, just give me a text. If you need anything, just like come around my house, give me a ring, I'll come pick you up. You know, I'm that type of person. I always want to be there for someone if they need me, or if they need anyone. I would do anything for my friends, to be honest. I would say, what was my first one? Was it like strong-willed or strong-minded? I think this one goes hand in hand with the first one then, and it would be stubborn. I am quite stubborn in some ways. I suppose, yeah, it definitely does go hand in hand. If I think I'm right, there's not much you can do about that, and it's very hard to change my mind, which I suppose is a pro and a con, because sometimes I am wrong and it's hard for me to admit it. But I guess that's just something I need to work on, instead of like just self-reflecting and not doing anything. So question 2 is, what motivates you to keep going on tough days? This kind of hits home a little bit with me at the moment, because I've had some tough days recently and I'm just trying to remember what I did. To be honest, nothing really motivates me to keep going on tough days. I just know that they'll be over eventually, so I've either got to ride it out, or I need to suck it up, do some self-reflection during those days, because if my brain is at its lowest and most vulnerable, I can actually sort out some things in my mind during those days, because I'm not really thinking about anything else other than the things that I'm worried about, you know? So obviously they're top priority for me if I'm that worried about them. So those days I really hone in on those type of questions to ask myself, and then once I'm feeling a bit stronger and better, I make like a mental note. When I'm having the worst days, I make a mental note to act on these things, and then when I'm starting to get better and having more energy or feeling a bit brighter to work on things like that, I for sure sit down and make a plan. I'm a really big planner, so usually to get me through the tough days, I'm either like mentally planning, and then if I know a tough day is coming, and to try and like kid myself into the fact that it's not happening, I sometimes just kind of go, oh well, you've got a plan, we need to stick to it today because we need to go places. Basically, we need that horse training facility. That is literally all my life has revolved around, right? It's getting to the end goal of me being in a small holding with my horses, dogs and boyfriend. What values are most important to you in life? This is question 3, by the way. First of all, if this is about myself or others around me, definitely honesty. I am 100% transparent with everyone. I can't lie to save my life. I can't joke. I can joke. I can't say something that I don't mean. I'm truthful with everyone, even if it gets me in trouble, even if it hurts people. I try not to when it's gonna hurt people, but you get my drift. But I am always honest. I expect everyone to be honest with me because I'm honest with them. Some people aren't honest, and I have quite a hard time accepting that sometimes. That's probably why I don't have many friends, is because once you do something to hurt me, I won't forgive you. I'll always be wary of you, and I won't consider you a close person to me anymore. I don't know if this is a value, but I like awareness. I am a very aware person in terms of like being observant in situations. I'm very aware of people's feelings, how they might feel, how they might react, what's going to happen as a result of that. Whatever situation is happening, I always follow through with like, oh, how could this pan out? What are all the alternative ways that this could pan out? This is where my thinker and planner mindset comes in, but I am terrible with this. I am a very cautious person, so I need to have like awareness of people, how they'd react, and I hope that sometimes people have awareness around me, like especially if there's but if there's a change in my mood and I'm starting to feel down, like them just being aware of that without me having to tell them when I don't really want to tell them. And I think that like, yeah, I just, like my parents, if I'm having a shift in mood, my mum's like, oh, obviously you're not feeling like yourself, and she'll give me a hug or come and bring me around some chocolate. That's mostly my stepdad though. But just little things like that. I like being seen. Thirdly, I'm gonna do 3. I think kindness. I know what my last one is. Equality and balance. I am obsessed with finding balance in things. I believe completely in fairness. If one person, this is why it is so hard to date me, and I really do feel for my boyfriend because he is brilliant, but I really don't understand how he can do it. In our relationship, if I'm cleaning something, if say we have to clean the house, I expect 50% done from him and 50 from me. That's never gonna happen unless we like split it per appliance or something and not per room. But I really get niggly when, let's just say I'm cleaning and I'm spending 2 hours cleaning and he doesn't clean on that day. I'm like, why isn't he cleaning? I'm cleaning, so why isn't he cleaning? Or something silly like that. Maybe that's why I have the job that I have though, because coming to think of it, I'm a coordinator, so in my job I try and treat everyone fairly. I always make sure that everyone is heard, everyone is balanced. So I'm in charge of the car parking sheet in work, and I try and make sure that everyone has equal days, even if, or the right amount of ratio. If let's just say like someone's in all week and then another person's in only once or twice a week, that the person with 5 days will get like a day or 2 more than the people who are in only once or twice a week. And I'm really terrible about that. I think that also comes in with perfectionism. So making sure everything's balanced, fair. I suppose fair is another word to talk about this, because I think that being perfect means that taking a non-biased view on something is important. In some ways, like say for example, I'm going back to my gaming channel at the minute. In my Sims 4 builds, I want to make sure that all of my information or my knowledge around New Orleans, because I'm currently building in a place that's based on New Orleans, is like correct and factual, so that I can get the best representation of it without a bias. I hope that makes sense. Anyways, I spent way too long. I spent 10 minutes on that one. So the next one is career and aspirations. What inspired you to pursue your current career or passion? I wouldn't say that I'm currently in the career that I want to be in. Like I said, when I was young, I always wanted to be a vet. Didn't get my A levels. Went to study Asia Pacific Studies at uni, then on to a business degree, and now I work in a bank. But I would say the bank is just a stepping stone to where I want to be. I think I really want to be a life coach, which I suppose is my passion, and I also want to be a horse coach as well. So coaching is just kind of my thing, working alone is kind of my thing, and being self-motivated and having my own business is what I want. I think this is just around my upbringing. I always love helping people. I thrive on planning people's lives, helping people improve their life, helping animals, like being around animals, helping people with animals. Like, that is just my favourite thing to do. So I think it's really come from my childhood experiences and also wanting the best for everyone, which I guess comes into my important value of equality. I want everyone to have like the best outlook on their life as they possibly can, because we're only here once and we might as well like live the life of our dreams instead of settling for what we don't really want. So the second question is, what's a dream project or goal you hope to achieve someday? I've already touched on this about 5 times, but I want to be a life coach and I want to train horses. I find animals so relaxing, and I find helping people so relaxing. So that would be like, do you know when you finally find a moment in your life where you can just sit and your mind just is at peace and is not like bumbling with noise and all busy and you're thinking about 4 million things at once? I honestly can say being in a house that has a bit of land with some horses on and has some dogs on it that are owned by me, in the middle of the countryside with my job as a life coach, is literally that moment of peace in my mind, and I cannot wait for it. I am so excited. How do you define success for yourself? That's self-explanatory in the previous statement that I just said. Horse, dog, happy, fulfilled, helping people. That's it in a nutshell. So I'm going to move on. I also, low-key, this is me being me, I just want a Lamborghini at one point as well. But, shh. A Lamborghini is not going to look well in a small holding, is it? Covered in mud and dirt. On to the next category of favourites and fun. This is time is going a lot quicker than I think. We've still got 3 categories. Anyway, I will try and be a bit faster and a bit snappier, but can't promise anything. What's your favourite book, movie, or TV show, and why? So my favourite book is Caraval by Stephanie Garber. It's a fantasy about a festival that only occurs once a year, and it's kind of like a trick to the mind. Like, things aren't real in it. You don't know what is real, you don't know what's not real. Like, everything feels so real. Like, you could have a love interest in there, someone could die, but it might not actually happen. Like, once the game's over, the person you thought was dead might not be. And oh my gosh, like, the characters in there are so well developed. They might as well be real people. I wish Caraval was real. I love fantasy worlds. It's not set in the modern time as well. There's no phones, there's no technology. So it's a good piece of fun where, like, communication is done in another way. They don't have phones to ring each other to check viability and stuff. Just go and read it, you'll understand. And it is more of a girl's book, I think. I'm currently reading her, like, a spin-off series to those types of books, but I literally just bought myself the special edition of them as well, and it's come with the new 4th book called Spectacular, and I'm so excited to read it. My favourite movie, oh come on, it's gotta be Twilight. I have the feels. No, wait. My favourite movie, oh god, that's such a hard one. See, I like 3. I like Spirit, Stallion of the Cimarron, which is like my childhood cartoon movie about a horse and his adventures, and I love it because it's a horse and it's got banging soundtracks that got me through my exams in uni, and it's just a good story. Like, the friendships that wild horse had and stuff, beautifully drawn, some amazing, like, landscapes. And secondly, my other movie would be Peter Pan, you know, the real live action, because he was my first crush, Jeremy Sumter. I want to be taken away to Neverland to not grow up and be around fairies and mermaids and pirates and everything like that. And I wish I could fly, and I wish I could live in the roots of a tree and not have to worry about any adult stuff anymore. And also my 3rd movie would be Twilight, because that was like my first other crush. And I just got a thing about aging, man. Aging is my biggest fear, and everyone gets old and dies, but I hate aging. It just, not for me. But obviously I can't stop that, but that's why I probably like Peter Pan, because you go to Neverland and you never grow up. And Twilight, you become a vampire, you never age, you never die. And I think those 2 really connect with my mindset of, I enjoy doing a lot of things, so I need a lot of time to be able to do everything that I want to do, if that makes sense, which is not going to happen again. My favourite TV show. Something that I could watch again. I'm really not sure on that one. The one that comes to mind is oh my god, what's it called? Oh my gosh, what is it called? Is it called Goblin? It's a Korean TV show about, is fantasy again. Everything is fantasy in my life. Like, my imagination is just full of fantasy. Yeah, just type in Goblin and it's amazing. It's, I can't even explain it, but it's fancy. Go look it up. The characters are amazing. The plot's amazing. I cried. I continue to cry. Yeah, just Korean movies. Korean TV shows are the best. I highly recommend. Question 2. If you could travel anywhere in the world, where would you go? I would love, at the moment, I'm loving the idea of going to, I can't remember if it's in Shanghai or Beijing, but they have like a Harry Potter world, and they've actually like built Hogsmeade, and they've built like Hogwarts Castle and stuff, and you can go inside. I would love that. I could do with that right now. Yeah, that's my answer, just because Harry Potter. Question 3. What's the best meal or dessert you've ever had? I'm gonna go with meal, and I'm going to say, I'm gonna be like really soppy about this, but my parents cooked dinner for Christmas. You cannot beat it. The creamy mash, the amazing gravy, thick, not like water, please. I don't know, the vegetable, I still love cooked dinners, probably from my childhood as well. I can't say anything else has really stood out to me that I go, oh my god, I need to go back there. I do love a bit of sushi, mind. I always have this salmon poached honey sushi that I get ordered into the office, and I do love that as well, but I don't think that counts. Okay, so now we're on the deep and reflective questions. So question 1 is, what's the biggest lesson you've learned in the past year? I think I've had a kick in the teeth in the past 3 months where I need to start accepting learning mistakes, and that's the only way that you get anywhere, because life can't be perfect, and I really need to remember that sometimes, because I'm like, I must be perfect. Everything can't be a regret. Like, nothing can be regretted in my life. Everything has to be perfect the first go. And even though everything is still running smoothly, touch wood, especially in Wukong, right? I know Wukong is a ridiculous reason to have this lesson learned, but it has really taught me a lot about myself, where I have to make mistakes in order to get better, fight the boss, beat the boss, and move on. The first time I tried playing Wukong, I gave up like in the second. Was it the second? I started streaming it, and I think the pressure of the stream really didn't help as well. But I was like, oh, I quit because it's too hard of a game. I can't do it, blah, 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 blah. And then playing it again, I watched someone else play it. I saw someone else make mistakes and learn from it and be like, right, I got it this time. Just take patience. Really got me into the mindset of like, it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to learn from your mistakes. That's how you grow as a person. Babies don't get up and walk the first time they get on their feet, you know? And I think that's really shaped me as a person recently. I've started learning Chinese again and making mistakes, going to my boyfriend and accepting that I've made mistakes on like tones or on how I've translated something. Like, I never could do that before. I'd be so scared of like saying anything in front of him in case I said it wrong. And so yeah, that's the biggest lesson I've learned recently. Question 2, how do you handle failure or setbacks in life? I'm a really stubborn person, like I said earlier, so when someone's like, oh, you're wrong, I will fight to my death to tell them that I am in fact not wrong, even though I know I am. Failure, I've been conditioned by my family, I think, to just get back up and keep going. When I was, 16, 17 years old, I went to college and I had a U straight across the board in my A-levels. So my dad rung me and he was like, you better get up that school and you better get on your knees and beg to take you back So I went from college back to my old school where I did really well in my GCSEs. I just kind of don't think about it, and I just move forward. I wouldn't even say that I regret that year, because if I wasn't held back a year, I wouldn't have had enough time to think about what I could do if I didn't get the A levels I needed to become a vet and stuff like that. So I don't have big feelings over setbacks or failures, because my mum's always taught me that if it's meant to happen, it will, and if it doesn't, then something else is coming for you, something else that's better eventually, even if at the moment you're going through a hard time. Right, anyway, that was a bit heartfelt and emotional, or deep anyway, but these are deep and reflective questions. So question 3 is, what's one piece of advice you'd give to your younger self? Probably that you can't always please everyone, and you can't always keep everyone happy, because not everything, the way the people feel isn't always your fault, and actually most of the time it has nothing to do with you and a lot more to do about them. Yeah, enough said. Mic drop with that one. And then we're on to the last category, fun hypotheticals. So question 1, if you had to live in a different time period, which one would you choose and why? I saw this question, I kind of browsed through the questions that I was going to be asking myself, and I saw this one and I was like, I'm not sure what era it is, but I want to say it's the 18th century is when, let's just say, I don't know if anyone's seen Interview with the Vampire, but that was a very interesting thing for me to watch, and that was when 18th century, because was it the late 1700s that Britain went across to America? And I want to say so. It wasn't long after that, was it, that it became America, and then they became Americans, and then there was a big influx of people, French people in New Orleans. I'm going to center around New Orleans because New Orleans is known for its vampires. But I would love to have been in that time because of the dresses, because of the hair, and because of the vampire, the big vampire thing that was going on there. That's where it was said that the first vampire was. So I would have loved to be around and potentially heard some stories about that, maybe even met one, because who knows if they're real. I'm very open-minded about that type of thing. As I said, I read and watch a lot of fantasy, and I think about a lot of fantasy, so I'd love that. 2, if you could have dinner with any 3 people, living or dead, who would they be? 1, Michael Jackson. I want to have a chat with him to see if the rumors are true, which I don't think they are, but maybe I'm one of the only ones that don't think that. Number 2, if you could have dinner with any 3 people, probably Christina Aguilera, because she is my idol with singing. I love her, and I think she's amazing. Her vocals are insane, and she reminds me, not saying that I look anything like Christina Aguilera, but we both have blonde hair and blue eyes, and she's my idol for when I get older, and I hope that I can look as amazing as she does. And the 3rd person would definitely be my grandfather. I just want to see him again, and I miss him. And last but not least, what would your dream day look like from start to finish? Okay, I've thought about this quite a lot. I haven't read this question before, but I definitely think about this topic a lot, and I would definitely say wake up, have a good healthy breakfast, feed my dogs or go for a walk with my dogs, come back, do some yoga and a bit of light exercise maybe, have a shower, get all glam, not glam, but like get some makeup on, look a bit more human, have a coaching session with a few clients, finish around early afternoon, go out, sort the horses out. I'm hoping that we're talking about theoretically if I had everything that I wanted as well, like my ideal day in that way, not my ideal day now. Come back when it's like getting dark, having done all my stable chores, walked the dogs and everything, sorted all them out, come back in, watch a movie, settle down, light some candles, have a really good ambiance go in, stream or game, and then get in the bath, read, and then go to bed. That is it. That is the ultimate day that I could ever think of. Yeah, so that is the end of the questions. I hope you enjoyed that little bit of, well, just more of an insight in me as a person. If you have any questions or you'd like for me to answer anything in particular or talk about anything in particular in the next podcast, then let me know. And yeah, I don't really know how to end one of these. I would like to just thank you for listening if you got this far. And I look forward to hearing from you and hearing about any questions you might have. Until then, I will see you in the next podcast episode, which is next week. I will also be starting little mini side podcasts as well about specific topics such as Wukong and potentially Assassin's Creed. We shall see. But yeah, other than that, I will see you all next time. Bye everyone.